We're very happy and proud to announce our first stand-up keynote speaker. This is a stand-up keynote, and the stand-up, of course, is something that will appeal to you all, being developers. These are short talks, kind of TED Talk-like talks, and the first one actually is by Janet Campbell. And Janet is the VP for Innovation Evangelism at Epic. She's been at Epic for 15 years. And she actually has been one of the first persons that we interviewed for the Fire interview series back in, I think, 2015 or something. And her talk is on patient engagement. And I think the first line that you will read in our program book is, being a patient is not easy. And with this cliffhanger, I will hand over the stage to you, Janet. Thank you. Warm welcome.
Good afternoon, everyone. As I said, my name's Janet Campbell, and like a lot of you in this room today, I'm a programmer. And we're all here this week, at least according to the Fire DevDays website, to dive deeply into Fire, right? We're here to listen, to talk, we're here to get answers and to share, and we're here to make Fire easy to implement for innovators of all types. And I lost that third monitor. We tried so hard. It's interesting going to the Netherlands. I think this is going to be the one time this week that I can actually look at you all eye to eye. Any help? All right, so I'm going to do one quick thing, if I can, just to make sure that I'm entirely back on the same timing, because this is quite the endeavor setting this up. There we go. So yeah, we're here to learn from each other, we're here to share, we're here to make Fire better. But for the next 15 minutes or so, I'm here to remind you, hopefully, why we're really here. Sure, we're all programmers, but we're programmers who believe that technology can be used to make the patient's experience just a little bit better. So everybody, this is George. George is 65 years old, and he's always been pretty healthy. Maybe he's gained a little bit of weight, maybe he's not as active as he used to be, but he's fine. Until last Monday. George is out raking leaves when all of a sudden, boom. He has a blinding headache and he's feeling dizzy. He can't really hold the rake anymore. In fact, the entire right side of his body is numb. George has just had a stroke, and now he's in the hospital. That's a place that he's never been to and that he was hoping he'd never have to go. There are people in and out of his room every hour, but George doesn't really know who they are. He doesn't know what they do, what they're responsible for. All he really sees is the white coats. Now, his body has just been through an intense shock, and the medications that he's on keep him pretty sleepy and disoriented. So he's not always awake when his doctors come by to ask them questions. And even if he is awake, he can't always follow everything that his doctors are saying to him, and his hand is too weak to actually take notes. And in the hospital, for the first time in his life, George has absolutely zero control over what his day is going to look like. He wakes up in the morning and he doesn't know if he's going to stay in his room all day or if he's going to be going from procedure to procedure. But what if? What if he had an app that could look at all of his upcoming orders and procedures and let him know what to expect every time he wakes up? What if he had a way to read his doctor's notes so that he could read them on his own time and at his own speed? What if he had a way to know exactly who that is on his care team, not just who they are, but what they're responsible for? So this is Christy. Christy is 25 years old, and she's a graduate student and a researcher. She loves cats. And like most 25-year-olds, she hasn't really given all that much thought to her health, right? Now, she's noticed over the past few months that her hands are falling asleep more often, and she's gotten a little bit more clumsy. But it isn't until her leg goes entirely numb that she actually goes to the doctor. And they do an MRI, they do a lumbar puncture, and that reveals what's really going on. Christy has just been diagnosed with multiple sclerosis, or MS. That's a disease that disrupts the neurological system in unpredictable and also debilitating ways. And there is no cure for multiple sclerosis. Now, luckily, the research community is really active in this space, exploring new medication regimes, new imaging techniques, even surgery, to at least improve the quality of life of MS sufferers, if not actually find a cure. And the thing is, Christy's smart. She got her master's in biotechnology, and so she really does want to stay up to date on all the current research so that she doesn't miss out on a possible treatment opportunity. But there's a lot of research going on, and it's changing pretty quickly, and being able to connect to it all does feel kind of impossible. Being diagnosed was certainly a shock, but Christy doesn't intend to take it lying down. She's been going from specialist to specialist, getting second opinions. Unfortunately, every new specialist feels like starting over again. She's answering the same questions, filling out the same forms, going over the same histories. In fact, she's started just getting printouts of all of her records and getting copies of her image on CD. She files it to a bucket that she lugs from visit to visit. And throughout all of this, Christy feels incredibly alone. MS is not a really common disease. The average American, at least, has less than a 1% chance of developing it. And she literally has no one to talk to. But what if? What if there was a way to connect similar patients to each other online? And even better, what if clinical decision support could recommend this to the provider at the point of diagnosis so that they could prescribe more than just medications? What if there was a way to electronically collect all of her records so that she doesn't have to maintain that bucket, a single place where she can collect, store, and share them with all of her providers? And what if there was a way to connect her to research opportunities, not just being able to keep up to date on what that research is, but actually putting her in touch with researchers who are looking for participants in clinical trials? And finally, hi, I'm Janet. I'm 37 years old, and for more than half my life, I've struggled with depression. Now, don't get me wrong, I am incredibly lucky. It's well controlled by medication, and as long as I stay healthy, I'm good. In fact, I don't even have a regular therapist. But if I do forget to take my medications, or maybe life throws me a curveball, then depression hits, and it hits really hard. I sleep pretty much all day, and I'm not active in the way that I need to be to actually keep myself healthy. And if I really do need to talk to someone, as I said, I don't have a regular therapist, so that means I'm waiting on wait lists, hoping to get a slot in, and having to rearrange my schedule at a moment's notice to get seen. But what if? What if there was a way to connect to an on-call pool of therapists 24/7, therapists who had access to my entire clinical history? What if there was a way that I could track my activity and my sleep habits, and that it could remind me why it's so important to keep up with both of them? What if I had a medication coach that could read my list of current prescriptions and remind me to take the medication, so I wouldn't even be in this point in the first place? So every 2 seconds, every 2 minutes, someone suffers a stroke, like George. In the United States alone, 28 patients are diagnosed every day with multiple sclerosis, like Christy. And if you took all of the people with depression worldwide, like me, and put us all in our own country, it would be 17 times the population of the Netherlands. This is why we do what we do. So go out there and develop something great, because they need you, and we need you. Happy developing.
I think you heard me. No one? Graham.
Thanks, Janet. Gutsy call. I really appreciate it. All of us here program, well, most of us here program. Not so much Dave here with me. And we all have our dreams, but it seems as though something bigger than each of us is needed to make the dreams come together in an ecosystem to actually bring change to the healthcare system. Would you like to comment on something on the bigger picture?
Yeah. As much as I would like to find a technical solution to everything, I don't believe that there is one. And believe me, I really want to find one because technical solutions are predictable and easy. The type of change that we're looking for in healthcare isn't technical, it's operational for the most part. It's about being willing to open up this type of data to patients. It's about being comfortable with patients asking harder questions because they're more informed. And I think the best thing that all of us can do is keep sharing our stories. There's nothing wrong with having depression, and there's nothing wrong with having what's eventually going to be a fatal disease. And the more we can tell our own stories, not just to each other, but to our doctors and our nurses, the more we can start to encourage why this type of access and support is just so important. That'd be my recommendation.
Anyone else? Maybe I have a question, Janet, for you. So you are also a VP at Epic, and what can you do in your role at Epic to make this happen at Epic? Probably a lot, but...
Sure. I mean, I think that one of the things that we look at doing is providing a lot of the tools that I talked about up there. The majority of those were real screenshots with things that we've done. But we also recognize that we're not the only game in town. And the ability to access this data is not something that we control, ultimately. We can provide better documentation. We can provide better testing sandboxes and tools, which we do try to do. But the biggest thing that we can do is work with our organizations to help them get their FHIR servers set up, to help them give access to all of their patients to this type of data, and to give them training materials so that it's quick and easy for them to do so.
So is this a good time for you to be in that role at Epic? I mean, with FHIR around?
How so?
Well, I mean, is FHIR providing you with new opportunities to make this happen?
I think so. I think that there are two parts to it. Of course, we're going to always try to create the best tools ourselves that can work with this, but we're not the only game in town. And so we can do both. It's not an either or.
Well, thank you very much, Janet. Applause.